Is the ACC beginning to crumble, and is what's happening at Michigan the new norm? Grab a drink and join us on this week's Tailgate. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Luke.
I'm Michael.
And unfortunately, Dennis is not with us tonight. He was feeling a little under the weather, but on real short notice, we were able to find a suitable replacement since his takes are usually trash anyway. Here we go. So, Dennis,
Hey,
we miss you.
we do, buddy. Get better.
But welcome, Trash. It's good to have you on.
Hey, trash can, I need your @ so I can put your Twitter handle in the graphic. Oh, you don't have one? Okay.
All right.
Before we get into everything, we want to just talk about our sponsor real quick, which is, like always, Explore Nash.
Not again.
I know. We need to find some new sponsors. Jeez. They're growing like wildfire over there, though.
Well, you're welcome.
I know. It's totally we're adding to their subscriber count daily. If you're in the Middle Tennessee area and you are looking for any kind of just fun, entertaining content about Middle Tennessee, you're looking for historical or educational content, you just want to know about things to do or events to go to or great places to eat, go and check them out at Explore Nash on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
They've had some really good places to eat recently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's
Every time I see Stewart eating something, I'm like, oh, add that to the list.
Yeah, and I work with them from time to time. Not every day. I'm not with them every day, but there are times where I get to go with them on their shoots, and oh man, some of that food is insanely good.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, we went to this one Indian place. Oh man, jeez. So yeah, totally worth checking them out at Explore Nash, and they also have a website, explorenash.com. I don't know why I don't want to ever talk about that.
No,
they don't really talk about it either. So. Anyways,
well, on to sports.
Specifically college football and lacrosse. We're going to talk about lacrosse. I'm just kidding.
I played lacrosse.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm so tough.
Oh, that explains so many things.
It's dumb.
It's an interesting sport.
Is.
Let's not anger the fastest growing sport fan base in the country.
That's right.
Anyways, so the ACC is somewhat in hot water.
Disarray. Shambles.
They're not quite in shambles yet.
Not yet. It's coming.
They're going to be in shambles here soon.
True.
But essentially, for those of you that haven't been following, FSU filed a lawsuit against the ACC, and consequently, the ACC also filed a lawsuit against FSU, which I believe ended up being struck down because of the fact that they did it as a preemptive measure, which they didn't have any there was no reason for it. So the Florida courts ended up upholding Florida State's lawsuit as being the jurisdiction for the lawsuit, from my understanding. And essentially, Florida State is basically saying that the ACC had some bad dealings, some nepotism-related dealings back in the 2010s, like when dealing with their new media rights deal with ESPN, that only benefited the commissioner at the time of the ACC and his family, and
because his son was
his son was one of the executives at Raycom. And so this is all alleged. Like that's what FSU alleges. Allegedly. I'll get graphics guy. We need a graphic down here. And I'm just talking to myself now.
He's not going to hate me for doing this. He's figured it out now.
Yeah, he's figured it out. I mean,
allegedly.
Figured it out. I mean, he's figured it out. Allegedly. It's one of those things that FSU. That's what they're saying is in their accusation against ACC. They're saying that there was impropriety in the original deal, which means that the original deal, because it wasn't for the benefit of the schools, it should be null and void. I honestly can't disagree with that. I've heard some lawyers talk about it.
If it comes out and that's all true, I mean, 100%. If this is because it was the guy's son, wanting to make sure his son didn't fail.
Yeah.
And
well, it's that media company was dying.
Right.
And that was one of the only ways to make sure it stayed somewhat relevant.
Yep. It stayed above water.
Yeah.
And it could be the downfall of the ACC.
Yeah, because if FSU wins, then every other team is gonna just leave.
Right. Yeah, and I will go ahead and I will say a quick, earlier this year, I kind of gave it to FSU a little bit and said, oh, you're just crying, all this kind of stuff. And now about the football side of things, I'm going to stick with that. So I'm not going to apologize for that. But you guys were right to try and get out of the ACC if this is all true.
Yeah.
And if it's all true, it is going to be really interesting if they win and that injunction is filed and they're able to just say, every school now, every ACC school, hey, you see what they did there? We're going to file that too. Pretty much, I'm guessing immediately. They would be granted a victory in that sense.
Yeah.
And then they're just looking for a new home.
Yep.
And for those, who have kind of seen what's going on with the SEC and the Big Ten, if you start thinking about super conferences, and the Big Ten and the SEC kind of taking over and being that almost AFC, NFC type deal, those ACC teams are just kind of going to one of them, maybe. Where else are you going to go?
They're the likelihood of them breaking off and just creating their own special conference again, which would be stupid. Everything that I'm hearing is that
the ACC 2.
Yeah. 2.0.
Right.
We're just for fun. We're going to call ourselves the Pac-12. Right. Even though we're in the Atlantic, Ocean, or next to the Atlantic. Everything that I'm hearing is that FSU would probably go to the Big Ten, which the Big Ten would want a Florida footprint like that. Makes a ton of sense. It makes a ton of sense. Georgia Tech, teams like Georgia Tech and Clemson would probably go to the SEC.
Probably the SEC.
Which makes sense. I think at one point Georgia Tech was a part of the SEC. And
sounds familiar.
And so the other thing that's going to be kind of hinging on this is
Miami in the Big Ten.
Miami may be in the Big Ten.
Ooh, that would be nice.
The only other conference out there that's kind of like a straggler conference, and everybody's just we always forget about because they're not as important anymore because Texas and Oklahoma aren't there anymore. Right. Big 12. And I'm sorry, Big 12 fans. You're just not as relevant when your two big teams leave.
Yeah. We still love you. You're just not that relevant.
No. And now, could you be made relevant by Coach Prime doing some crazy stuff over there? Sure. But you have to make sure that you beat teams in the playoff by, or at least don't lose to teams in the playoff by 50 points.
Right.
Poor TCU.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's one of those things that I think it's possible the Big 12 may try to vie for some kind of for some of these teams. They already have somewhat of a footprint with West Virginia and stuff like that.
True.
So it wouldn't be too much of a stretch for Virginia Tech or West Virginia or for Virginia to join the Big 12. Same with a Syracuse or something like that, or Duke. I honestly could see Duke joining.
I mean, I could see all the Duke in North Carolina. Even the NC State. I could see them going to the Big 12.
I've heard NC State and or North Carolina have been looking at trying to go to the SEC.
Okay.
Now,
I think the Big 12 would be a better fit.
I agree,
but
less competition for them.
Less competition.
It's a better basketball conference for them.
True.
They can continue to dominate there in the basketball world. Because if they go to the SEC, then they have to play SEC teams all the time. And while the SEC isn't always known for basketball, this year they look pretty good.
SEC. And guys, what are you doing in basketball? Come on, guys. Start winning away. Start winning those road games.
It's okay. I mean,
and I'm just looking through you got Pitt, you got Wake Forest, Duke, Syracuse, Clemson. I mean, Clemson probably SEC.
Clemson should be going SEC.
Boston College.
That again, I feel like that's a Big Ten.
Yeah,
Boston College, Pittsburgh. I feel like
they say those kind of. Yep. Now the big one. This is my dark horse here. that Louisville. Like, where would Louisville go?
I think SEC.
You think?
I think they would go SEC. The reason being is because of the fact that they have more ties to SEC schools, and again,
they've also got that Kentucky rivalry kind of,
which again would be fun to have a Big Ten SEC like team that just has like
in-state
standing rivalry every year, which would be kind of fun. But again, it's one of those things. I feel like Louisville to me fits more of an SEC team,
kind of their profile.
Yeah, same like with Clemson. And so
we'll see.
It's very possible that we might not see 2 power conferences. We might see 3 power conferences.
I mean, that's putting the cart before the horse a little bit with going over all that. But
and the other thing that we have to also cover is the fact that ESPN kind of holds all of the reins for all of this.
True.
Like, it's either 2025 or 2026 where basically ESPN has the right to just pull the plug on the ACC basically altogether. They have the right to pull the media deal, everything like that. Cool. And FSU is worth more to FSU, Miami. There's a couple other schools that are worth Clemson that are worth more to ESPN not being in litigation.
Right.
They're worth more to ESPN being in a bigger conference like SEC with better competition, and it's worth it to them financially to get them out of that. So again, I don't know who came up with all these media rights deals, giving ESPN way too much power, but shame on you. Way to go, ESPN! You figured that one out.
That was smart. Whoever did that, whoever stumbled into that thing is good for you. Cut me a piece.
Yep. And Dennis just texted us. He's surprised. He was actually surprised that we were able to get Ryan Day on the podcast.
Oh,
he got you back.
That was pretty good.
It was a pretty good one. Pretty good.
Well, we have strong ties in this podcast.
That NIL collective, we talk about it too much.
That's
right.
How
we know all about it.
That's right.
Anyways, so I think depending on how all this shakes out, I really just don't foresee the ACC surviving at all.
There's too much. There's too many shots being fired at them, and I just don't see. It looks bad just from the little you see.
No,
and it's. I think that, like you said, it's coming.
Yeah,
and it's just a matter of when.
Well, I'd say the same for the NCAA. Like with what's going on with the Big Ten and the SEC, the fact that they're trying to join together to create their own streaming app, and again their media rights deals are ESPN and Fox, which
umbrella.
It just feels like a crazy umbrella. Disney, hooray! Now I could be wrong. That could be a different Fox. And if I'm wrong, just comment down below, please. Just comment, just say hi.
Right.
Anyways, but anyway, it's just one of those things. Like, I think the ACC's they're gone.
Yeah. They're
just going to be gone. They already showed that they were an irrelevant conference this past year by accident. And
true.
And then again, the Big 12. They're kind of up in the air. They luckily did absorb some decent teams from the Pac-12, but are they going to continue to have any kind of dominance with their 2 dominant teams out of it?
Right.
So, anyways.
We'll see.
Power shifting, all that stuff. Yeah.
Power shifting, and then we go into, again, some more shifting that we're talking about, and what's going on at Michigan right now. I mean.
Oh, yeah, all the craziness there.
It is, in a way, it's very interesting watching Michigan not even really have a chance to enjoy their national championship. Jim Harbaugh leaving, he's kind of hinted at that for years, year after year. And then he leaves, and, I think Sharon Moore getting put in is a great move. He's been there. He knows what's going on. Moving somebody who was an offensive coordinator up into a head coaching spot, never a bad thing, especially considering when it happened, there was nobody.
Exactly.
The whole Nick Saban leaving and kind of creating that coaching carousel, there was not much to choose from. And then you hear about Jesse Minter is going to be the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. okay, well now Sharon Moore's got a defensive coordinator that he needs to fill. And now he did that with Wink Martindale, which I think is a great hire. I mean, honestly, bringing in a defensive coordinator that's had some pro knowledge, has been in the pros. Not to mention that Minter ran a version of what he called similar plays, similar concepts, similar terminology. So like it's a good fit for the team.
Yeah.
And then Ben Herbert leaves and goes to the Chargers, and you start seeing this trend of like Jim Harbaugh not just leaving his team, but then
gutting the coaching staff.
So Ben Herbert leaves. I think it was Justin Tress who had been with Herbert before Michigan. He'd been with him at Michigan since 2018, I believe. But then he was also with him for a couple years at Arkansas before that. So again, you have a guy who's been in the program and kind of like learned it. Jay Harbaugh then goes to the Seattle Seahawks. Interesting move. Mike Elston, their defensive line coach, goes to the Chargers. And then Steve Clinkscale, who was their DB coach, who initially said, no, I'm not going to go, ends up going. Now, I don't know. I mean, all of these guys, if it's a better job, that's kind of what everybody wants to do, right? It's take a step out. I don't necessarily fault them for leaving, but my goodness, like they took everybody. Harbaugh took everybody except for his son, who went to a different team but still left. And the question, like you said, is this what it's going to look like in the future? You look at Indiana. Indiana, their coaching staff is essentially James Madison just elevated.
Yeah.
They took, what's his name, Kirk Cignetti. Took him. He brought some assistants. Pretty much the Indiana staff is all new.
Yep.
And so you just see this domino effect of teams getting new coaches, another team opens up. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? You think this is are we going to see this year in and year out?
I think again, Michigan I feel like is the extreme example of what we're seeing. I think we're going to see it more and more depending on if there's vacancies in the NFL. I think that's been one of the biggest reasons why we've seen it this year a lot.
Right.
And again, it's exacerbated because of the fact that you also have the GOAT retiring. So with Saban retiring, then you've got a lot of shifts happening.
Right.
You've got Harbaugh leaving to go to the NFL. You've got Michigan doing what they can, scrambling to elevate what coaching staff they can to positions of actual effectiveness.
Right.
Then you've got Washington getting gutted by Bama, which is hilarious. And then in the middle of that transfer, Washington, DeBoer loses his offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, to the Seahawks, and his offensive line coach to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it's not abnormal for a coach to be elevated to the pros. Case in point, Tennessee just lost their running backs coach, and he went to, I think, the Jaguars.
Oh, that sounds right.
But no one in Tennessee's sweating about that because it's just, one, it happens. But then, two, he wasn't the best recruiter anyways. I think he was a phenomenal coach. I think he did a great job with the kids that he
with
was
who
given.
he had.
Yeah, though he turned some 3 stars and low 4 stars into what looked like 5 stars.
5 stars, yeah.
So impressive. Not he's going to be great wherever he goes, but he just had an issue with recruiting. And that's not every coach's forte.
Right.
But it's there was like just a kind of a chain that just started falling because you had after Washington, then Arizona gets gutted by Washington.
Right.
And it's like, okay, where does it stop? Where does it, know? And I was listening to some Bama fans the other day saying that, Andy Reid for the Kansas City Chiefs is going to announce his retirement and Kirby Smart was going to go and play for, go coach the go coach the Kansas City Chiefs. And I was like, well, there's a couple silly things to that statement. But they and they're just like, well, he's won 2 national championships at Georgia. There's nothing else for him to do. I was like, you act like he doesn't want to beat the GOAT's records.
Right.
he's the type of coach that would want to beat the GOAT's record.
He does seem like the type of guy who kind of has those milestones in mind. So.
Yeah, and he also loves Georgia. That's his alma mater. He played at Georgia. He loves Georgia. That's his team. Yep. He also gets paid like almost $11 million a year. And Andy Reid barely gets paid $12 million.
And there are some guys who just want to be in college. Like I think, I've said it before. I think that the pro coaching is the best because you don't have to recruit.
True.
Like you have to scout, you have to do things like that. But in terms of as soon as your season's over, you're on the road. Yeah. And you're going to recruit. And so like you don't have to do all that. You do some of it, but you don't do as much. But there are some guys who like that. There are some guys who the college coaching is just what they want to do. Maybe that's Kirby, maybe not. I mean, we'll see if Andy Reid announces his retirement.
I still don't think Kirby Smart's going to go.
I don't think Kirby Smart's going to go, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think that this, like you said, I think there were a couple things that made this year
just special.
It's a lot Saban retiring is the big one. Mm-hmm. When he retires, I mean, it's just it's a shock to college football, one, but then it is, somebody from a good program is going to be moving into that spot. But then you look at the pros, I think there were 8 or 9 teams that were looking for head coaches. So you go, okay, where are they going to come from? Obviously they might come from a coordinator that's already in the pros, or it might be a guy like Jim Harbaugh who's going to go to the pros. But I think that you had this like perfect storm of just everything, the GOAT retiring, job openings, places being, positions needing to be filled. Now I think I doubt that we'll see a team get gutted
like Michigan
did. I don't think we'll ever see that as bad as it happened, but I don't expect this to be a yearly thing.
Yeah. Well, and again, like they're not every coach is a Jim Harbaugh either that has no loyalty to their program. I just called you out because I can. It doesn't mean as much when he does it. But I mean that's just how it comes across to me. It's like you got them all in hot water and then you decided to bail. Financial decision was a good business decision. Don't fault you there, but
nope.
You want to talk about being a Michigan man. You're not one. And Michigan fans, you need to accept that.
Well, and the Twitterverse or Xverse is very split on this, and that's it's been one of the interesting things because I really think it's about 50-50. I think there's about 50% of Michigan fans who look at it and go, he brought us a national championship. We had some good years under him. He's going to a better place, and we salute him. And then there's the other ones that are saying things that I'm not going to say on here.
Can't repeat. Yeah.
That are just angry because it's like we're supposed to be enjoying, this win and this national championship, and you're too busy gutting our team of their coaches to allow us to do that.
You're trying to make sure we go 7-5 next year.
Right. So it's about 50-50 from what I've seen. Now, obviously, Michigan fans comment and let me know what your thoughts are. Let us know what your thoughts are, kind of which side you're on.
But it doesn't change the fact that a good leader would never gut regardless of how they felt about their previous program or their job, their position, things like that. If they're a good leader, they're going to leave that place they're going to try to leave it better than they found it. Mm-hmm. And they're also going to make sure they're training up people to take their position when they leave.
Sure. And hopefully Sharon Moore could do that. I mean, that's what everybody's hoping for. I mean, everybody's saying, he's beat Ryan Day. So, kind of true. I'm not going to argue that point, but everybody's very high on him. I think that he has the potential to be a good coach. We're going to see how his choices for coordinators and who he's bringing up, how that affects. And it's just kind of like a wait and see. We have to see what he's going to do.
Well, and again, he can be a great coach. The problem is that he's not a good recruiter, and we've seen that. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to become a much better recruiter. And maybe he was shackled by some of the stuff that Harbaugh wanted to do or didn't want to do, NIL-wise or whatever it may be. But it's one of those things that there's a reason why it took Michigan 3 years with the same team to finally get to the national championship. It's because of the fact that they had to spend 3 years refining 2 and 3 stars to get them to at least a 4-star level and a blue chip level to be able to take on, any kind of other powerhouse.
Yep.
And and we know allegedly the reasons why they won against Ohio State the other 2 years.
Right.
So we'll see what happens there.
Well, it's all alleged.
All alleged
until it comes
allegedly.
out. So allegedly.
Oh man, now I have to create a new graphic.
Right.
It has
But no,
like
but we'll
too
see.
many
We'll
Ds.
see what happens. And again, we'll see. But in terms of will this ever happen again? I think the answer is no.
No,
I think we're not
going to
see it to this level. We're definitely going to see coaches leave and coaches get promoted and fired and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I doubt that it's going to be to the level that it has been.
Exactly. I'm actually just confused by there's a ladybug on the desk, and
Oh,
I'm getting sidetracked. But
Okay.
it's just weird because we're inside, and I know they like to find their ways inside, but it's also the winter.
yeah.
So
It's warmer in here. So
yeah, I guess so. Anyways, so what are your thoughts, Ladybug?
she says Luke is right.
Gotcha. I'm glad you can translate Ladybug.
Mm-hmm. It's
What
a very difficult language, but
what does Ryan Day / trash can have to say?
trash.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go.
there
There
you
you go. Okay.
Just like Dennis. Every time he opens his mouth, it's just trash.
It's just
At least that's what I hear. It's kind of like Charlie Brown, like the teachers are like, wah, 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 wah. And every time Dennis talks, it's just trash.
that explains so much.
Yep.
It's a good thing that we had that clip circulating last week about what you actually feel about Dennis.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Can't live it down.
Nope. You're not going to ever be able to lay it down. I pressed record too soon. Anyways, well, this was a shorter week this week. Just it's a lighter weekend when it comes to the news stuff, and we don't want to sit there and just drone on and on and on about just all the little minutiae
details.
Yeah, on recruiting and stuff like that. Just because you guys already get enough of that stuff. But we the next couple weeks we will be off. And we'll be releasing different shorts and stuff like that to just kind of explain why we're off. It's because Luke keeps on dropping his pen.
Yeah, I need to stop playing with that.
So it's just we just wanted to let you know that the next 2 weeks we're not gone. We're having to take a break, unintended.
Regardless of if you want us to be or not, we are not gone.
Yeah, we're not gone.
So.
We've got some amazing content planned, especially for March. You watch out. Some really cool content.
I'm putting my pen down.
Yeah, you're going to drop your pen again. Well, thanks for joining this week's Tailgate. Like, comment, and follow us for more college football content. Come back in 3 weeks and grab a drink. Join the conversation.